Today, I'm joined by Candrice Jones, a playwright, poet, and educator based out of Minneapolis. She's most recently penned the play Flex, which had an amazing run at Lincoln Center this past year, and I cannot wait to talk to her all about it. Candrice, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. One correction, I am no longer based out of Minneapolis.
No way,
In
really?
fact, in fact, I've moved twice
Oh my
since I
gosh!
left Minneapolis. Which was in 2019, I think.
Oh,
2020.
really?
2020.
The
Hardcore
reason why I saw
2020.
that is because I was reading through some of your bios and stuff, and I saw that, and I know that you are connected to the Playwright Center, and you
I
were,
am.
yeah,
Mhm.
you were a Jerome Fellow.
I was a Jerome and Many Voices Fellow at the Playwright
Sweet,
Center, and it was a wonderful time. And
yeah,
Minneapolis was cool, until up until the uprising, which, in
absolutely.
my opinion, I was all about it personally.
Yeah, no,
But
1000%.
I lived on the same block
Yeah,
as all of most of the uprising activities. So there was a police station. There was um, the
yeah.
protesters attempted to burn down. I lived literally on the same plot of land, on the same block as that
Oh my
police
gosh.
station. So
Yeah,
I got to see a lot of the protesting up close and took
yeah,
part of it a bit, took
yeah,
part in it a little
absolutely.
bit. And then a few months later, I went back home to Durham, Arkansas.
To Arkansas, yeah,
To Arkansas, to Little Rock, Arkansas is where I went.
yeah.
And now I live in New York. As of 3 weeks ago, I live in New York.
Oh
So,
my gosh, so many big moves. That's so
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
life.
wonderful. Well, that's I mean, amazing, and totally makes sense with the success of your Play Flex. Like, it absolutely checks out, and I wanna talk all about your Play Flex. But first,
Okay.
I do a lot of research before I go into these interviews, and I combed through your new play exchange. I love, like, finding playwrights that still have, like, work on their new play exchange that I can read and,
Hmm.
like, observe and stuff. And I read your play Counter Curse, and it's maybe one of my favorite short plays I've read in, like,
It's
a
a trip.
long time. Can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit about where this came from? It's like this, like, catfishing, world paralleling revenge tale. It's just so I was reading it, it
Messy.
was so good.
It's a hot mess. I wrote that play. I can't even. I think it was about 10 years ago, actually.
Really?
Um, it does have personal beginnings. When I was conceived, there were two women who were in love with my father,
Really?
and yeah. So of course, one was my mom, and one
Yeah.
was another woman. That love triangle was the catalyst for that
The play.
play. Yeah.
Ugh.
So, I actually met the woman who
Mhm.
was very mean to my mother during during my time in my mom's womb. During the 9 months my mom was carrying me, she was
Yeah.
awful. She was awful to my mom,
Yeah.
and so later in life I did meet her as as the character in the play finds. I didn't hate her when I met her.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, she's not a bad person. She was
Mhm.
a person who was really hurt and therefore decided to attempt to hurt someone else,
Yeah.
who my mom, while she was hurt, not physically but emotionally, verbally attempted to hurt my mother many times. A lot more messiness came out of it that actually takes place in the play. But the play, in the premise of the play, the young girl gets
Yeah.
revenge on this woman who um, who accosted her mother
Yeah.
during the 9 months of pregnancy,
Yeah.
and her plan was to catfish the woman's son,
Mhm.
who happens to be the same age as the young
As
woman,
her, yeah.
yeah, as her. And what happens is that, and this does not happen in real life at all, but what happens is
I was
while
gonna say
she's catfishing the guy, she ends up um catching feelings for him
for him,
in all
yeah.
actuality. Yeah. And she has a boyfriend the whole time, and her boyfriend is like, okay, this is no longer catfishing, this is no longer revenge. You're in love with this guy. And the guy who is in the play is oblivious to it.
Yeah.
The mean mother shows up um, blah blah blah. But yeah, that's what that play is based on. It's a
I
mess.
I loved it. I love the paralleling, like, love triangles that I feel
Yeah,
like, they were never meant to happen, but they did all these years later, and the
yeah,
ending part when, like, he writes down her number or he writes down his number and she doesn't throw it away, it just made me
yeah.
really happy. I really did love
It
that
makes
play.
you
It was
happy. You are not the first person to ask about that play. So I'm like, should I make it into a longer piece? Because it's like, I don't know.
I
It's
I think
it's
so. I think it's such a I mean, obviously, I'm so biased because I just read it and I loved it, but, I love the concept of it and it really was just such a fun, beautiful play, and I love the idea. I love using catfishing and this, like, big revenge tale. I could gush about Counter Curse forever, but I need to talk to you about Flex. It took the world by storm. I cannot wait. I wanna start off by just saying it's amazing. In your own words, tell me all about it. What is Flex?
Flex, I say, is a play based on nostalgia. Another play based on memory
Yeah.
slash, well, good nostalgia. But it's a play very much based on my high school experiences as a high school and college basketball player,
Yeah.
and how my teammates and I were kind of navigating the world that we lived in,
Mhm.
trying to navigate in it and out of it and see what else was there for us, as well as comparing ourselves to the rest of the world and
Yeah.
what the rest of the world had to offer to other people in comparison to what the rest of the world has to offer to people like us who came from small towns and did not know quite what else was out there, but we really in some cases really wanted to know. In some cases we were like, well, we like being in a small town, and you
Yeah.
know, Arkansas for life, and you know, but it's that, it's all of that, and just the fun memories I have of being on the team, and the messy memories that I have of being on the team,
Yeah.
and being part of that group of girls that were really inspired by that first group of women that were drafted into the WNBA.
Mhm.
I just felt like that was just a really special time that really, in up until now, there was a documentary about the women's dream team. I think it
Yeah.
was the 96 women's dream team. But I feel like that time is not um talked about it enough as
Mhm.
propelling women into propelling women into these ideas of empowerment
Yeah.
that we totally have kind of seen come into fruition almost 30 years later. So yeah.
Absolutely, and I feel like it's such a good play for right now with the way the women's, the wom I mean, we're currently recording this in March, and the way the women's basketball tournament is going currently, like
Yeah.
that I
I'm
don't know if you've been
sorry.
following it, but
Oh,
The
what
Caitlin
she
Clark quote of her saying, like, "More people are caring
women's
about us than the men's tournament."
yeah,
Yeah!
you better say that.
I
Yeah,
lost
so
my
true. did,
mind.
did you hear have you heard the rumor that Ice Cube has offered her $5 million to
No?
play like 7 games in his league? Yeah,
That's freaking
it's
sick. That's his he has a
insane.
it's a three-person league, right? It's like a
it's
3 on
it,
3 league.
it's I don't know if it's I think it's called the G League. I don't know if it's a 3-person league, I don't know exactly the
That's
um
amazing, though.
logistics of it, but yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's
Yeah,
saying that people are paying attention, and they're willing to put their money where their mouths are,
yeah.
wherever it goes, because people are really paying attention to women's basketball right now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Both these women are talented and
Killing it.
ambitious and
Yeah.
killing it. Yes, yes.
I
So
was I was hoping Caitlin Clark would take a hit because I'm currently a graduate student at WVU. So, a couple nights ago when West Virginia was up against Iowa,
okay,
oh,
okay.
we were like, every single sports bar was packed to the
Packed.
gills,
Yeah,
just, like,
yeah.
hoping she doesn't drop 30 on us
Mm.
again. Ugh, we didn't make it, but it
Yeah.
was I mean, I've been following the women's tournament this whole time, and it was so
It's so
awesome to, like,
intense.
that was the first time I got to, like, watch Caitlin Clark play, like, from top to bottom because it was because I watched most of the WVU women's games, and it was like, she's just so good. But I love
Yeah.
what she said about how, like, I think it goes really well with the fact that Flex just premiered this past year at Lincoln Center. Like,
Mhm.
it really is showing this full circle thing of, like, sorry, I just can't stop thinking about the quote of, like, of just
But it's true, and
it is, yeah.
the thing is, not saying that women's basketball is always reliant on men's basketball, but you have to think about the way that Steph Curry, in over the past few years,
Yeah.
um, has changed the game, or kind of brought the game back to like this full floor. Not just it's the game is like kind of full right now. You have all these athletes who are playing very well as far as basketball on all parts of the floor. So it's
Yeah.
not like we're just watching people dunk, or we're just watching people like do these amazing moves right under the basket and getting
Mhm.
this posterizing people. We're also seeing Steph Curry, Caitlin Clark, all these people with this mad outside game that kind of got forgotten for a little bit,
Yeah.
because Jordan couldn't
Oh,
shoot threes. But I love Michael Jordan to death. I don't, yeah.
no, of course. I'm a Cleveland native, so I'm a huge Cavs fan. So
Okay.
I've been back and
Okay.
forth on the GOAT conversation between Jordan and James, and when
Yeah.
he left for the Heat, I very much turned on LeBron, but
No, you didn't. You
a
can't say
little
that.
bit when he went for the Heat, but now I'm fine
Mhm.
because he came back and he got us a championship, but I remember
Mhm.
a lot of my family were going to Rocket Mortgage Stadium when he left for the Heat, and they were getting rid of his jerseys, and they were real
Oh
mad, but then he
no,
came back
that
and we
makes me so.
immediately rebought them.
As you should have. I
I
mean,
was gonna say
he had to leave and come back, but I feel like it was a his journey. That journey was really really beautiful. I do. Yeah.
oh,
So
yeah. Looking back, the Bosch, Wade, James Heat team
yeah.
was the most fun to watch. It was so sad to watch as a Cleveland fan, but looking back on it, it's a blast. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Okay, here's the thing. I'm a huge I obviously, now you can tell, I'm a huge
Yeah.
basketball fan, so when I
Uh-huh.
knew we were talking, I was super pumped up. I wrote out these 2 questions, but I feel like they kinda go hand in hand. The play that you wrote first off, sports on the stage is so hard, I feel like, to accomplish,
Mhm.
and you guys did it so well with Flex. I wasn't able to see it, but just from the videos I watched and stuff like that, it looked awesome. I
Mhm.
wanted to know, like, what was the process, 1, of you being because playwriting is sometimes such a solo most of the time is a solo activity of a human being at a desk writing a play until it
Mhm.
gets into production and workshop and all that stuff. What was
Mhm.
it like writing these action sequences in your play? And then what was it like putting that on the stage and taking this, like, this live, I don't know, almost like gamble of sports and bringing it
Yeah.
into a play?
Yeah. So I will say that goes back to the first question you asked, like, what you kind of asked what inspired the play. And it's definitely, like I said, a nostalgia play. So while I'm writing these scenes, I'm seeing me and my old teammates go through these motions.
Yeah.
And I'm also putting these characters that I've created, who are not solely based on my
Yeah.
old teammates, by the way, but I'm watching these characters that I've created, and their bodies, are imagining them in my head go through these motions. But, I played so much basketball, growing up, street basketball in the gym, wherever. I
Yeah.
just had it in my head. So that was actually some of the easiest.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
and then the rest of the play had to be like, okay, how can I conjure this dialogue into this story that that is true to life? This the dialogue being steeped in realism. But as far as the basketball parts, I very quickly decided what the strengths and weaknesses,
Mhm.
basketball strengths and weaknesses, and personal strengths and weaknesses were for each character. And I decided that based on these strengths and weaknesses, this is how these characters would play out in a basketball play.
Yeah.
And I will just have to say, my knowledge and experience playing basketball helped out a lot with that.
Yo, of course.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it wasn't like I was writing like, oh, maybe, um, it wasn't like it was a lot of confusion for me,
yeah.
because it was always alive to me in my head. It
You're
was
writing
always
something
alive.
that you love and you could clearly see.
Yeah, yeah. And it didn't hurt that I've also coached basketball a little bit.
Oh,
So,
man, I didn't know you coached too.
so yeah, being a coach, even though I wasn't a coach for very long, it does involve having a vast imagination.
Yeah,
Um, and so you have to be able to know how to think about players on a court, um, without you
yeah,
playing out these scenarios, um, and how certain things might happen according to a certain player's strengths and weaknesses,
yeah.
and you have to do the same thing as a teammate. So it was just really rehashing memory. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's so cool. I never even thought about that from, like, especially from a coach's perspective, writing this play is so cool.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's wonderful. That's very, very rad. Well, I wanna so this play is soon to be published and produced
Mhm.
all across the country. You refer to yourself as an educator. I wanna know, there's so many schools looking for contemporary new works to produce on their stages. What do you think Flex brings to specifically a younger, like, high school or college audiences? Specifically actors that are similar to age in the characters in the show. What do you think it, like, brings to them?
Oh, the excitement. That's, I mean, that honestly, like, you never know the what I like personally about the play is that you don't know when an individual is going to hit a shot or not.
Yeah,
And it's great when you have an individual playing the roles of these characters who might actually be able to hit the shots, or
yeah,
who makes you whose acting ability as well as their athletic prowess makes you believe in them and their ability to maybe hit or miss every time. So just the sheer excitement of watching that play out scene by scene
yeah,
is really fun. It's
yeah.
really fun. Whether you are rooting for the main character star who can be a likable character or cannot be
I was
or cannot be a likable character. Either you think she's an underdog or an opportunist,
Yeah,
but or both. But the bottom line is that that moment by moment uncertainty. It definitely reflects the action on the court, but it also reflects true life. I
yeah,
mean, from seventh grade to 12th grade on into college, young people are going through moments of uncertainty, and every little thing seems like it's going to rise or fall based on one decision,
yeah,
or based on one shot. So I think that's one thing that draws people to this particular play, ironically, especially people who have never played the sport. People who are watching and have experience with basketball, they are so focused. They still enjoy the play, but they are laser focused on whether or not it's technically correct or
on,
not.
like, the shots and on, like, the
Yeah,
actual
on the
basketball technique.
exactly, or whether or
Yeah,
not these girls can play ball. Which in the Lincoln Center version made me so happy when I heard in the audience that girl can hoop. Like speaking of many of some of the actors, but the individuals who had no experience with basketball
mhm,
really leaned into the story,
yeah,
and they were released from whether or not everything was accurate because they were like, this story is about the game of life. You know,
yeah,
I can relate on so many levels, even if I've never touched a basketball before.
mhm.
So
Because
yeah.
past the sport, the play dives into this group of friends and this, like, it looks at, like, friendship at a young age and how tumultuous it can be and how hard it can be to, like, keep it together. But how important, like, a team also can keep a friendship together. It made me think of, like, all of those classic, like, sports movies and stuff Remember the Titans or, like, We Are Marshall and, like, that, like, friendships you find within an athletic team. Ugh, I love Flex so much. It's such a wonderful play. I cannot say enough. But
Yeah.
before I let you go, I wanna know, and I always ask this to the people that we have on, are you working on anything? Is there any fun, upcoming, cool plays that even if that you're just tinkering with in your head? Because I love hearing what playwrights are doing.
Well, there are 2 projects that
Mhm.
excited about right now. One
Yeah.
is entitled Love Them First, which is a musical based in Minneapolis on
Sweet.
a documentary about of the same name, about an
Yeah.
elementary school, Lucy Craney Lu Lucy Craft Laney Elementary,
Yeah.
and, it's based on the beautiful students and the teachers and this very charismatic principal, Maury Friesleben, who is just a symbol of hope, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And her being a symbol of hope makes the entire school a symbol of hope. And so that's one thing I'm working on. It's produced by North Star Theatricals.
Oh, that's awesome.
The lyricist, his name is Randy Preston, composer Mark Meadows, and director Kelly Foster Water. And
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
one thing I'm working on. It's just a really gorgeous story. The
Yeah.
other thing I'm working on that is kind of like my own brainchild, not based on anything except for my love for blues music and growing
Yeah.
up in Arkansas and going to blues festivals and observing blues players and
Yeah.
at times being able to have conversations with them and them coming into my hometown or my mom's house or whatever is a play called Play on Jody, which if you know anything about blues, then you know there's a recurring character named Jody in blues mythology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a playboy. That's a playboy character. And
Yeah.
so in my play, there's this blues man who just dies. His name is Bobby. He's kind of based on Bobby Rush, if you know who that
Oh, yeah.
is, but loosely.
Mhm.
But anyway, the play, the premise of the play is this person has 4 daughters. The musician has just passed away or has recently passed away, and they're present for the reading of his will. The In the reading of his will, they find out many things, but the main thing is that they're supposed to erect a museum in honor of this Jody like character. And so I'm hoping it's really fun.
That's
Um,
wild. Yeah.
lots of music, not a musical, but lots of music.
Like a play
Hopefully
with
some,
music.
yes, hopefully some banjo and harmonica playing, and what do you call it? Sex and love and all that stuff. So I'm
That's
having fun with
awesome.
that.
That's
Yeah,
so sick.
yeah. And
Oh,
all of
that's
them
such a
are
those
like
are
all the characters are kind of named Jody, so which makes for the case for the play being named Play on
yeah,
Jody. Yeah,
play
you
on
can
Jody.
interpret it.
That's
Yeah.
Candace, those are 2 awesome ideas. I hope a 3rd one is counter curse selfishly. Um, but seriously, thank you so much for talking with me, especially about I mean, I obviously got to nerd out about basketball, so I had a huge blast. But seriously, thank you so much
Cool.
for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me again.